Welcome back to the Veteran Teacher Files. I'm your host, the Dragon Lady, and around here we keep the stories real and the names anonymous. Tonight's episode is about one of the hardest years I ever taught. Not the hardest academically, not the year with the worst test scores. No. This was the year that aged me. Literally. This is the story of a student race, 3 gray hairs, and the class that almost took me out the game. So, here's our veteran teacher story. This happened during my very first year teaching 6th grade. My teaching partner and I split our subjects. She taught ELA and social studies, and I taught math and science. We were both runners, which becomes important later. Now let me paint a picture for you. This is a high-performing school in a high-performing area. On paper, it looks great. But the town itself was relatively new during those years. So most of the families had moved there from surrounding areas, and everybody was trying to establish themselves. The parents were competitive, the kids were competitive, and the energy and the culture around there was just insane. So this particular group of students, oh my gosh, they were rowdy. They were off the hook. They were loud. They were constantly talking over each other. They were constantly testing boundaries. Every classroom management strategy I ever had lived and died in that classroom. So there were these 3 boys in particular who could turn any normal day into psychological warfare before lunch. We'll call one of them C, and he was the king of talking smack. Now here's the thing about C. He was chaos. His desk looked like a recycling bin had exploded. There were papers hanging out of it. There were papers underneath it. There were papers like straight up sticking on the sides of it. Like, how does that even happen? His backpack was a black hole. There were ancient civilization projects, lunch things, just shoes, deodorants, just books, just stuff. But athletically, this kid was on fire. And every week, the students had to run a mile. So all year long, there had been a smack buildup between us. And one day, my teaching partner and I decided that we would go for a run with the class. Not with the class, but like, hey, if they're running for PE, like, we're going to go running too. And yeah, that was a huge mistake. Because what started as a casual jog somehow turned into a race. And not just any race, the only 6th grade public humiliation event in my life. Like, I didn't have a public humiliation when I was a 6th grader, and now all of a sudden I'm a 6th grade teacher, and I'm putting myself in this situation. Now, let me explain something. I'd been a runner since I was 12 years old, and I ran competitively for years. I'd run 5Ks, 10Ks, half marathons, full marathons. Running was part of my identity. I ran weekly. I was part of a running club. Like, that was just me. But by this point in my life, in my mid-30s, I wasn't running like that anymore. I was jogging gracefully and respectfully with hydration and orthopedic awareness. So yeah, I wasn't doing that anymore. I wasn't. Meanwhile, my grade level partner was younger. She was like 27 or 28 at that time, and she was fresh out of college, and she was an elite level runner. Like, her face was straight up painted on a mural at the State University. She ran with Olympians. She was there. So yeah, she was on her game still. So when race day comes, the kids are all hyped up. We've been talking about it all week long. And my grade level partner and I are outside stretching. And C is just standing there. And I think he's like in jeans. My grade level partner has her running cleats. I don't have running cleats anymore because it's been that long. So I'm just running in, like, I don't know, my Under Armour, Adidas sneakers, whatever. And I think C probably has some like street Nikes, not like running shoes, just like whatever. He's not like I got my sweatband on. I got my like heavy duty sports bra on. I got my compression socks. Like, I've been hydrating since the night before because I knew how this was going to go down. I had been using my foam roller in the classroom. So yeah, we're out there and I'm stretching like I'm preparing for the trials. Yeah, because inside I'm terrified. I know how this is going to go down, and all of a sudden this isn't fun anymore. So yeah, I'm just trying my hardest to not be that old teacher who got smoked by a 6th grade student, but like I know this is really what's going to happen, and I just know I'm never going to hear the end of it. But anyways, we all line up and ready, set, go. The race starts. And this, at first, like, the kids are pacing with us. And then out of nowhere, C is just like, okay, yeah, that's cute. That was my warm up. Peace out later. Bye. And just takes off. So, of course, my grade level partner is going to take that, and she starts to immediately pull off. So then I start pulling ahead. And because we're all pulling ahead now, the entire pack is losing their minds, and everybody's sprinting, and just there goes my pacing. So I'm ruined. I'm fighting for my life, you guys. I'm trying to remember every coaching tip I've ever learned and every podcast and everything that I've ever read. I'm like, okay, long strides, control the breathing, pump the arms, relax the shoulders. Like, mentally, I'm probably looking powerful, but in reality, I probably look like some distressed Muppet running through a parking lot being chased by another distressed Muppet. I don't know. Like, at this point, I've accepted that I probably should have packed my inhaler, and I'm just praying to Jesus that I cross that finish line and don't collapse of like a heart attack. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not really 40 yet, but I think I have chest pain. I mean, I'm just like, oh my gosh. Meanwhile, my grade level partner, who's a natural redhead, is turning as bright red as a stop sign. And the student, yeah, he's not even breaking a sweat, guys. This kid is like grinning peacefully, like he's in some commercial running along the beach. I don't know, like there's suddenly wind that isn't even blowing like just on him. And yeah, in the end, my grade level partner beat him by a hair. And me, I came in third. I lost. Yep. By 3rd grade logic, I was the loser of this entire race. Even though like I beat out everybody else in the class, I'm still the loser. So naturally, everybody talks smack to me for the rest of the year. And honestly, respectfully, I probably earned some of it because when I crossed the finish line, I should have like collapsed onto the grass. I was coughing. I was wheezing. I was like I was going to vomit. When I finally stood up after what felt like forever, my legs were wobbling. I mean, my vision was blurred. I was just like one Capri Sun away from hospitalization. But yeah, here's the thing. That race somehow perfectly represented that entire school year. I was trying so hard, and some days it felt like I was losing. I remember there was this Lady Gaga song that was popular at the time, Million Reasons, and like the first 2 lines, you're giving me a million reasons to let you go. You're giving me a million reasons to quit the show. And I would sing that song crying on my way, driving to work, just like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? And it wasn't because I didn't care, and it wasn't because I wasn't good at teaching. It was because that class demanded every ounce of patience, strategy, humor, stamina, planning, intentionality, and emotional control that I had. And by the end of the year, it finally caught up with me. Every year, I used to give my students a little goodbye speech on the last day of school. I'd tell them that I'd always be there for them, that they'd always be my students, that they can come back and visit me at any time. Some years I would make these CDs with pictures on them, back when computers had CDs and people watched DVDs. And sometimes I would give these personalized certificates. Now, I know the bulk of my teaching was in kinder and 1st grade, but I would do it with my 3rd graders. I do it with 4th graders. So, of course, I would do it with 6th graders. Like, why not? Now, I didn't do the cheesy DVDs or certificates, but I had something written for them. I did. I wrote something for them, and I went to school that morning with every intention of reading it in its entirety, but the class just wouldn't stop talking. They were talking over me. They were clowning around. They were interrupting each other. They were clowning on each other. And finally, I just stopped reading and I just said, get out. And I remember staring at me because the bell hadn't even rung yet. And I just remember saying, that's fine. We can spend the last 10 minutes outside. I'm done. And I meant it. I was exhausted. When I got into my car after the final bell had rung, I looked in my rearview mirror and I found 3 gray hairs. I'm not even kidding. There were 3 gray hairs that weren't there that morning. And I immediately named them after the 3 kids who had driven me insane all year long. Now listen, I know those kids loved me. I know they did, and I love them. But sometimes the kids who love you the most are also the ones who test you the hardest. And it wasn't just the kids that year, you guys. The parents were wilding out on me too. I had one parent furious because somehow I accidentally ruined the big guy who lives up north, December 25th. I don't want to say that guy's name again. I've been traumatized. Another one accused me of twerking in class, which is especially offensive because I've tried twerking and it's just tragic. I can't. Then there was this controversy because of The Maze Runner. The Maze Runner had come out that year and we read it in class. So my partner teacher and I told the students that if they read the book, we'd be at the movie theater on opening weekend. And if they wanted to join us with their parents, blah, 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 blah. Not a field trip. Not an end of the school year event, just a, hey, we're going to be there Saturday at this showing if you guys want to come too. And apparently that was suspicious. So yeah, chaos. But you know what did come out of that year? An awesome lifelong friendship. So a friend of mine who my mom has called La Hippie taught 5th grade. And my grade level partner had a baby. So she was not unable to go to science camp, but she wanted to stay home with her kid because she was nursing. And so La Hippie volunteered to join me in chaperoning the 6th graders at camp. So because of that, her and I would stay up late to check the check the cabins, and we would play rummy, I think, and play cards, and we just got to know each other and vibe. And yeah, it's just the best thing that came out of that year. Years later, during the pandemic, I actually got married in La Hippie's backyard. Her husband officiated our wedding. So somehow one of the hardest years of my teaching career also gave me someone I'll love for the rest of my life. Funny how that works. So yeah, teaching has a weird way of leaving scars and gifts in the exact same place. Well, now I want to hear from you. What was the class or the student that pushed you to your absolute limit, but that still somehow left a lasting mark on your heart? You can share your stories anonymously because around here we protect identities and preserve the evidence. This has been the Veteran Teacher Files. I'm your host, the Dragon Lady, and remember, sometimes surviving the year is the victory.